Between 1933 and 1936, President Franklin D. Roosevelt enacted the New Deal. The New Deal consisted of programs, projects, regulations, and reforms to help United States citizens recover from the hardships of the Great Depression. Meanwhile, any population other than white men were still facing discrimination, not to mention the hardships that are often included with discrimination. Women. By this point in history, women had made some economic and social strides, but they still experienced significant discrimination. Employers gave priority to men over women, and women were paid less than men for the same amount of work. Women were still expected to be confined to domesticity, and birth control was illegal in certain areas. Latinos. During this period in U.S. history, many Latinos were farm workers. They were often mistreated in the work environment, but they had no leverage to ask for better treatment because they were not protected by labor laws. If they sought welfare aid, they were often deported, and they encountered racial antagonism from law enforcement as well as the general public. African Americans. During and after the economic struggle that was the Great Depression, racial animosity of white people towards African Americans grew, as white people were worried that black people would take jobs from them, even though black workers were almost always laid off before white workers. In the South, blacks were making more money than they had in the fields, and whites worried about how this shift would disrupt the economy. Asian Americans. During the time of the New Deal, Asian people were denied of citizenship and access to relief programs. They were prevented from working in most professions, and during World War II, Japanese Americans were forced to leave their lives and possessions behind and live in internment camps.